afternoon, everybody. I'm Kelly Trammell with the Office of Contracting and Procurement, and on behalf of our Chief Procurement Officer, Ms. Sandra Stahl, I'd like to welcome you to this proposal conference for the Stellantis Phase 3 Home Repair Program. I would ask that everyone please remain on mute unless you have a question. Of course, you can always raise your hand and add that question into the chat. We have representatives here from our Housing and Revitalization Bridge and Neighborhood Department that will speak to the scope of work, but I'd just like to go over some of the details and preliminaries of this particular solicitation. If you would kindly add your name and the company that you represent, in either you can add it to your profile or you can drop it in the chat. Either way, we would appreciate it, just so we have an idea of some of the vendors that are interested in this project. If you have the ability to turn your cameras on, we would also encourage you to turn your cameras on. However, if you're calling from your phone or connected to a device that does not offer that feature, we do understand. I'll kind of go over the project timelines and some of the details regarding your Oracle submissions, as well as the minimum qualifications. And then we'll turn it over to our Bridge and Neighborhood team that will go over a brief overview of what the expectations are. Once that's completed, we will open the floor for questions. So this particular project went out on February the 24th. We have a question deadline date of the 17th, and this proposal is due on March the 24th. In order to submit your proposal for this particular project, you have to be a registered vendor within the Oracle system. If you need assistance with the Oracle system, or if you need to be able to register, I will enter that information in the chat, where there is a link and a supplier page that offers a great deal of assistance on the ability to be able to register, to be able to submit your excuse me, submit your proposals. And there's a wealth of information on invoicing. They also have tutorials available, videos available, as well as they have office hours, and there are training sessions as well. We welcome questions during this. We welcome questions during this pre-proposal conference today. However, if you are looking for a binding response, then we would encourage you to submit your questions through Oracle, and then we will provide those responses back to you prior to the proposal due date. And in fact, if any of your questions result in a need for an extension, we will also offer extend this bid, but hopefully we'll be able to answer all your questions now. For those that just joined us, this call is being recorded. Again, I'd like for you to put your name and the company that you represent in your profile. If you're unable to do so, we encourage you to enter that information in the chat. All vendors are encouraged to ask questions. You can either put them in the chat, and we will have a question and answer session after we have finished with the presentation. You must be a registered vendor within the Oracle system, and all responses have to be uploaded within Oracle by the close date. We encourage you also to make sure that your supplier portal is updated, meaning that you have updated contact information, because Oracle does not necessarily do that, and neither does the Office of Contracting and Procurement. If you need assistance, we have an e-procurement team that can assist you with it, but we want to make sure that all communications get to the appropriate people, as well as you want to make sure that while this presentation is going on. Another thing. Also, another thing, you want to ensure that the time zone within your supplier portal is current. Otherwise, you will receive communications 3 hours from now. Check to make sure that you are set up under the Eastern Standard Time zone. I think it gives you an example of New York time. Otherwise, when you submit your proposal, it will come in late and we will be unable to accept it. So just an overview, the Office of Contracting and Procurement on behalf of Bridging Neighborhoods is looking for qualified respondents to provide certain technical and professional services for general contracting for some occupied residential buildings. This will be from June 2025 till December 2026. The residential homes may be single family or multi-family units, not to exceed 4 units. Quickly to go over the minimum qualifications. So when you submit your proposals, we are looking for proposals. We are not looking for just pricing or just general information. We are looking for a complete proposal. There is a guide within the RFP that kind of spells out exactly what we're looking for. In order for your proposal to even be considered, you must demonstrate that you have 5 years of experience providing general contractor services, including working in occupied houses, and you must do so by listing references within the last 5 years, include the revenue for each contract. What that will mean to you is when I review your attachment A, which is your questionnaire, which lists your references, if your references do not support that you have done work before the 5 years, you will not be considered. So please use references that demonstrate that you have the years of experience and that also include what the revenues for those particular projects were. You must also provide proof of lead safety certifications. If your proposal does not include a document or something that can verify that you have lead safety certification, your proposal will not be considered. You must provide proof of OSHA 10 certification. Anything above OSHA 10 is acceptable. So if you have OSHA 30, that's fine as well. But you have to provide proof of that in order for your proposal to be accepted. You must also provide a current state builder's license. You can take a picture of it, a copy of it, however you want to include that in your proposal, but it must be there. Otherwise, your proposal will be disqualified. You also have to provide proof if you're using any subcontractors. You must list those subcontractors and you must also provide their current license and certification for the type of work that they will be doing on your project in order for them and your proposal to be considered. And lastly, we are requiring that you provide us with a bonding capacity letter. The letter cannot be older. It needs to be issued within the last 6 months, indicating what your bonding capacity is, because we want to make sure that you have the coverage in order to do these projects. That was a whole lot. And if anybody has any questions, you're more than able to add those to the chat, and or you can answer the questions toward the end. So at this time, I'm going to turn this presentation over to Rico and Amy and their team to answer any question. I'm sorry, to give you a brief overview of this project and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Tony. So I'm Amy Amador. I'm the Deputy Director for Bridging Neighborhoods. We're excited about this project and excited to see so many people here on the call. I just wanted to give an overview. So this is phase 3 of the Stellantis home repair program. Some of this funding is coming as a result of the community benefits agreement that Stellantis, then FCA, made with the city in 2019. And so the funding for this actually, though, is going to be is grant funding. So part of this is a grant that resulted from that community benefits agreement, and then part of it is a grant funding related to the Stellantis plant coming through kind of the state and through the brownfield recovery. So I just want to highlight that. So if you've worked with us before, we've previously been, our work has been on 7-day pays. There will be a little bit longer delay because we will have to have grant approvals on all of our invoices that get submitted. So wanted to raise that. We are going to be doing home repairs in occupied homes, as Kelly said, and I think the other thing I want to raise is that we are on a tight timeline. So this grant or this contract goes through December 2026. The understanding is that the work will be pretty much completed by end of October of 2026. So once we begin work, we will be in a production mode and needing to get work done very quickly each month. So we are looking for contractors that have the capacity to cycle through and get that work done. So I'll turn it over to Lincoln or Rico if you have anything else that you'd like to add.
Thanks, Amy. My name is Rico Razzo, Chief of Home Repair and Neighborhood Services for the City of Detroit. I think Amy covered a lot of the programmatic stuff. I just want to touch on more of the customer service side of things and give a background on the neighborhood we are working with. If many of you on the call today aren't familiar with the expansion of Jefferson North Assembly Plant, $2 billion expansion, which caused a lot of these community benefit agreements to come to fruition, this being the third phase of home repair, that is what a lot of the residents have been dealing with over the decades. So dealing with a plant as a neighbor, dealing with an expansion of a plant as a neighbor, and dealing with everything that comes with it. So this program is heavily focused on critical home repair. So we're not getting into cosmetic renovations, remodeling bathrooms, and those type of things. This is critical home repair. So your HVAC, your roof, those type of things. So I want that to be clear. Number two, if you have issues or may not like working in occupied houses, this may not be the program for you. If you don't have a good grasp on your subcontractors and how they conduct themselves on a job site, this may not be the program for you. At the end of the day, your work in these houses is a direct reflection on the mayor's office, Bridging Neighborhoods, City of Detroit. The last thing we want to do is get feedback from residents that they feel like they're being disrespected by contractors. They feel like contractors are not providing quality work because they're in a grant-funded program. We want to provide the same level of customer service, the same level of craftsmanship that you would normally expect on any resident in the city hiring a contractor to come do critical home repair. So I just want to put that out there. I also want to stress the importance, if you are awarded this contract, on getting invoices in a timely manner. A lot of times we work with contractors that may sit on invoices for weeks, maybe months at a time. And then there's a rush to try to get them all in and go through the approval processes on our side in order to get those paid out. So the better you are at submitting invoices timely after the work has been signed off and completed, the better our relationship will be in terms of getting you paid in a timely manner. And then finally, City Council is heavily involved and has been heavily involved with this CBA program and all the projects associated with it over the years. Specifically, Councilmember Johnson in District 4 has a lot of input, has a lot of ideas, and has a lot of thoughts on this program. So in addition to being a representative and an arm of the City of Detroit, we also have to report back to our Civil Rights, Inclusion, and Opportunity Department on milestones we're hitting with spending these dollars as well as reporting back to City Council on progress throughout the program. So yes, it is a tight timeline. If you don't feel you have the capacity to meet the timelines and deadlines, then again, this program may not be for you. But I just wanted to make that clear up front. So, after we award these contracts, there's no excuses or reasons why things aren't done, invoices aren't being submitted, residents are feeling disrespected. I want that to be understood first and foremost. And with that, I will get off my soapbox and turn it back to Kelly or anybody else on the team. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Lincoln,
Thanks, Kelly. Hi, everybody. My name is Lincoln Hoymore. I am the construction and special projects manager for Bridging Neighborhoods. So I'll be your main point of contact should you be awarded a contract. Just a couple things that I want to highlight about this project. We're asking you guys to provide line item pricing for a huge series of work. And so the first thing that I want to highlight in that is we've detailed what our expectations are for that work in section 2.1, services to be remembered. My strong expectation is that as you're filling out your pricing sheet, you are going to read that, you're going to understand that. So this is what the pricing sheet looks like, but that section 2.1 really breaks down all of that. So for example, one thing that we're doing as we're prepping these houses to be more fully electrified is that when we do electrical panel installs, every house is getting a 200 amp panel. We're not doing 100 amp panels, we're doing 200. So that's going to impact your pricing. You need to look at these things, make sure you understand what our expectations are, and put that in there, because we are going to be holding contractors who are awarded these contracts to their pricing sheet. The second thing is, again, we've emphasized this before, is the timeline is super important here. We've got 120 houses that we need to get done by October 31st, 2026. If you game that out, we're talking about 10 houses that need to get done every month. As with almost all city contracts that we put out, the city does reserve the right to split this among different contractors. So it may not all go on one contractor, but it may go to a few different ones. But again, that pace, we're expecting that contractors are going to be able to work through that pace. One item that's a specific timeline that we've delineated within this RFP is after you've been provided with an address, homeowner contact, and done your scope walk. So what's going to happen is we're going to give you your addresses of who you're going to be working with, and then you will go out and walk those houses. We're going to tell you what the scope of work is. You're going to go look at it and provide us with a quote for the work. And the reason that we want you to do that is that every house, there may be something that when you get in there, you're going to see, hey, this is something that wasn't specifically delineated within the pricing sheet, and it's going to be a modification, and we need to talk about that beforehand. What I don't want to have happen is you get to the job site and there's something that was clearly visible if you would walk the house, and then you want to do a change order. We really have to avoid that. So as far as the timeline goes, our expectation is that from the day that you do that contractor walk at that house, I've got a scope of work from you, I've got a quote from you in my inbox 10 days later. We had challenges last year where contractors were walking houses multiple times because they needed to go back and get details, or they just let it languish. They didn't get the pricing for us. And so we just want to avoid that and set the expectation that if once you walk the house 10 days later, I've got a quote from you. If we're not seeing that done, we're going to move fast and get new contractors on this project. We don't have time to let any of this languish or let any of these projects not move full steam ahead. So I think that both Amy, Rico, and myself have all communicated that the timeline on this and the pacing is incredibly important. And so we just want to make sure that that gets heard loud and clear. I think that that's all I've got, all I wanted to say. So I'll send it back to Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Lincoln. With that being said, so there may be a variation to the evaluation points because if once I get confirmation, because this is partially grant funded, equalization will not be applicable. Meaning if you are Detroit certified business, you may not receive additional points because of that. Another thing I must reiterate is if you are seriously considering this project, now would be the time to submit your tax clearance approval. As Rico, Amy, and Lincoln mentioned before, we are going to be moving relatively quickly. Once we get the contract awarded, we expect for you to have all your necessary paperwork, your approved tax clearance, your updated certificate of insurance, all of the affidavits that we require. We expect you to have that updated. If you do not have that information readily available or experiencing problems with that, we do reserve the right to move on to the next vendor. Again, once I find out confirmation, whether or not equalization is applicable for this, I will send out an addendum. For those of you that joined lately, you need to be registered within Oracle in order to do a bid submission. You also need to ensure that your supplier portal is up to date with the correct contact information, as well as set up in the correct time zone. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for any questions. You can just unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Andres with VR Homes. Thank you so much for setting up this Teams meeting. I just had a quick question on the bonding. Is there a minimum bonding requirement? Because I know the total contract is for over $2 million. If we're submitting a bid, I guess the question is that full 2 million plus required for bonding?
So with the bonding capacity, we want to ensure that the majority of your bonds are not already applied to other projects, and that you may not have the capacity to handle this project. So that's why we want to make sure that you have a letter that's dated within the last 6 months so that we're aware of your current. You may have a $10 million bonding capacity, but if you have $8 million in outstanding construction projects, that means that you don't have the bonding capacity maybe to handle this particular project. Does that answer your question?
I believe so. So the capacity has to be the full amount for the contract available.
We do require 100% bonding capacity for construction projects. So it would be the value of that contract.
Got it. Okay, that's crystal clear. Thank you so much for the info.
You're welcome. Any other questions? We got a lot of people on here. I'm sure you have questions.
Question?
Yes, please.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. My name is Steve Safey with SAS Services. Thank you for having us. I'm only able to get on the phone today. Am I then at least qualified as a contractor? I'm having IT issues at the office today. I just want to verify to make sure that I'm sorry?
You're fine. We heard your name
that's
several times, Steve.
Yes, I apologize. Yes, I apologize. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So again, just to kind of go back over those minimum qualifications. So we're encouraging, we're not discouraging. We're encouraging qualified vendors to please, by all means, submit your proposal for these. Again, I pulled up the minimum qualifications because those are important, and we want to ensure that whomever is awarded this contract is able to follow through with the life of the contract. So more importantly, we want to ensure that the things that we have listed as minimum qualifications are what you can show us to ensure the city of Detroit that you're able to handle this contract. So if you have questions outside of here, you're more than welcome to upload those through the Oracle portal, and I will make sure that we get those done as quickly as possible.
Hi, I have a quick question. Will this recording be available for review?
Absolutely. So what our normal process is that after we have a recording, especially when it's a project of this magnitude, we will upload it through YouTube and share that link. The link normally goes out on our social media, as well as I will submit the link within the Oracle system, and it will go out to all vendors that can access that particular RFP.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Kelly, this is Lamar from Lake Star. I'm just walked in. I don't know if you guys covered this, but are you guys doing, is each address going to be a bid process, or are you accepting multiple vendors for different scopes of work, or how is that going to be worked out?
I can jump in there. Hi, Lamar. So all of the contractors will be general contractors, is what we're looking for. There will be one or more or multiple awards with this. As we receive the bids, we will be reviewing that. And was there another part of your question? Sorry.
I think he
Yeah,
was asking if
kinda.
we're packaging.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I can
just-
answer
homes,
I
or
can
we're
answer the
doing
other part of his
individuals.
question. So Lamar, the way it'll work is we're going to do one contractor per house, and we will assign houses to contractors. There's not going to be a bid process outside of what we're doing right here. So you're not going to be competing for houses once you're selected as a contractor. You'll be assigned houses, and then there's just going to be one contractor per house instead of multiple contractors per house.
Okay, thanks, Lincoln. So, follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys gonna evenly disperse the jobs, or is it kind of just like off of a production, like, like whoever's moving along is going to get the bulk of the work?
It will be, so the contractors are going to be awarded based on the size of their contract. And so it's not exactly production, it's not exactly the other way, but everybody is going to have within their contract, we'll kind of be getting everybody through all of the work that they get awarded.
And then what determines the size of your contract?
The competitiveness of your bid.
So let me bring some clarity to that. So it's not necessarily just the bid pricing, but it's your proposal, because we're expecting proposals as opposed to just numbers. So what I would strongly suggest is that you have a company in your proposal. You might want to identify the number of crews that you have available to work on houses. If you have a company that has 300 employees and you've designated 15 crews out of that those 300 employees that will handle this, I would strongly suggest that would be a very good selling point within in your proposal. So let me switch back over here, and you brought up a very valid point. So what we're looking for within your proposal, and I apologize for not mentioning this before, so thanks for bringing that up. We're looking for 20 points will be assessed, well, at least 20 points for now, will be assessed for your experience in your organization. So that means within your proposal, you want to highlight areas that show where you've worked on projects of this magnitude before. You want to highlight, maybe include pictures, a breakdown, of course, the revenue of those contracts that would give the evaluation committee an opportunity to look at your proposal and say, hey, this company can really do the job. We're going to look at that bonding capacity letter. That's important to us. So if you have, you can go back to your bonding capacity company. If you feel like you might not have enough bonding capacity at this time to manage it, by all means, go back to your bonding company to see if they can offer you a letter that will help us be convinced that you can provide these services. We'll look at that. That's only worth right now 5 points. And then the proposal introduction, approach, and solution. We're looking for vendors that can partner with the city of Detroit. So within your proposal, you want to highlight areas where you might say, hey, we can handle this. We can do 15 houses instead of 10 a month and get them done. You want to include maybe some type of schedule or some type of org chart. All those kinds of things are beneficial within a proposal to identify that you can do the job and you can do the job successfully. At this point, we may award this contract to one vendor or we may award this contract to multiple vendors, depending on what is in the best interest of the city. And then, of course, pricing is a key factor as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Kelly and Lincoln. So I have multiple follow-up questions now. So if just my experience in this and going off the Ford and FCA that was done previously, are you guys asking for pricing up front again in this package and what we're going to submit in this RFP?
Yes, there is a cost. I can share that as well because Lamar, I don't think you were here when we had this on display. Hopefully you guys can see it. So there's a pretty extensive price list that we're looking at.
I think that this is what this will work out sometimes, but when you do that walkthrough with that house, this is often where stuff kind of goes sideways because we'll have a price set up for whatever, something simple, but in this particular case it's not simple, you know what I mean? But we're held to that price that we gave initially, and I think it's hard to say what something's going to cost. One, we can give a general idea, but to hold us to a cost specifically for something we haven't seen, I think is kind of open up a can of worms, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And secondly, I think that it's hard to be able to say, hey, I can dedicate this many crews and this many people when, if you tell me, hey, we need all roofing done. Well, I have a great roofing contractor. I can get him out there. I know we can knock out, 3 roofs a day. But if you give me, say, hey, you got 20 fences, well, that's a little different, right? I only have 1 fence crew. So it's kind of hard to be able to put that into words and say, what I can dedicate to this contract, because it really ultimately depends on what the scopes of work are for each property.
Lincoln, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so we have, based on our experience with Ford and FCA, we have refined that pricing sheet. I understand your frustrations. I would also say that we've refined the services to be rendered, so it should do a detailed read on that. Other things that we've modified is now we're only going to really be doing, for the vast majority of these houses, we're just going to be using 1 trade per house. So we've simplified the scopes of work that are be going into those projects. And the purpose of that scope walkthrough is to identify any issues that present challenges that are, if we say, you provide us with a set furnace swap out price, when you walk the house, you may see that the ductwork is not in good shape, and so we'll put that on the scope of work, the quote that you provide, so that we're staying in, we're not holding people to unrealistic pricing.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Lamar, for taking one for the team.
It seems to be, that's my job these days, Kelly, you
That's
know?
right. And you do it well. Thank you, sir. So once again, I want to make sure that for those that came in late, just so that they know that the question deadline is the 17th. Questions outside of this particular conference should be uploaded through Oracle in the messenger system, and then responses will be sent back to everyone so that there'll be transparency as far as what the responses are. The proposal is due March the 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please ensure that your zones are up to date. I will put in flyer. So I do have our website that I just added to the chat. So it's detroitmi.gov/supplier. That will also be of assistance if you need to register, if you need assistance with uploading. If you need assistance with uploading, or if you're having trouble uploading your proposal, then that's available. I'll tell you that. Okay. Hey, going once, going twice. Okay, I'll give you back the rest of your afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. And we look forward to partnering with you at the City of Detroit. Have a great day.
Really good seeing you again,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.